I'm Ernie Humphrey, Educational Programs Leader for Performative, the largest online community for corporate finance, accounting, treasury, and related professionals. I'd like to welcome everyone to today's webinar, Accelerating Close and Disclosure in the Cloud, How It's Actually Done. One of the nagging problems that never seems to get easier is the close and disclosure process. Fortunately, there are new solutions available that can help finance organizations not only close more efficiently, but do so more accurately as well. During our webinar today, we'll start by comparing the functionality of cloud-based applications to those of on-premise and Excel options. Our featured speaker, Brad Mulvey, will then deliver a demo of Host Analytics cloud-based applications for financial close and disclosure. This live technology demo will highlight how the cloud can reduce the time to close while increasing control and accuracy in the process and allow the finance and accounting teams to be proactive in their company's growth plans. I would like to thank Host Analytics, whose commitment to thought leadership helps us make this webinar possible and delivered at no cost. A quick note on today's agenda: we'll first hear a presentation from our featured speaker, Brad Mulvey. Then we'll move to our interactive Q&A session where we'll spend the remainder of our hour. We would like this to be an interactive experience for you, so if you have any questions at any time, please go to the questions area in your GoToWebinar control panel and send us your questions. We can't promise to get all of them in, but we'll do our best and we'll follow up afterwards with any questions we did not get to. A few more logistical notes about the webinar. A link to today's presentation and video recording of the webinar will be sent out to all attendees within 24 hours of the event. Please note the presentation is already posted at www.performative.com/resources for free download. Today's webinar includes a tech memo and as such is not eligible for CPE credit. Again, we encourage you to ask questions on today's topics via the questions area in your GoToWebinar control panel anytime during the webinar. Finally, you'll be asked to take a short survey regarding today's webinar. We greatly appreciate your feedback regarding our event today, as we always strive to improve the ROI we offer our attendees for their valuable time. A quick word about Performative. Performative is the largest online community and resource for senior-level corporate finance, accounting, treasury, and related leaders. Performative connects corporate finance leaders to provide instant advice and insights on the tough financial and strategic challenges that they face every day. Okay, let's get started by introducing today's featured speaker, Brad Mulvey, Senior Solution Consultant, Host Analytics. Prior to joining Host Analytics, Brad worked at IBM, Clarity Systems, AIMCO, and Accenture in various roles. Brad brings years of experience in finance, accounting, and software to his job, which is useful for helping companies understand the value of software. Brad has a Bachelor of Science degree in accounting from Colorado State University. With that, it is my distinct pleasure to hand the floor over to Brad Mulvey, Host Analytics. Brad, please take it away for us.
All right. Thanks very much, Ernie. Hello, everybody. This is Brad, and I have the pleasure today to introduce you to a more efficient way to deploy technology via the cloud and to help close and disclose within your company. So, I have a few slides I'm going to go through, and then we'll move on from there and into a product demonstration focusing on really how it works and really the quicker delivery method that we are able to deliver via the cloud. So here's a quick look at the agenda. And with that, I'll get started with my first slide here. I will not spend a lot of time with the slideshow. I really want to show you the product and the automation, the technology that is available for companies mid-sized, large-size, and so forth. But I think a little background will help, and that's what I'm trying to set up here with these slides. But I'm sure you guys can relate, especially those that have been around longer than others. But not long ago, when we were in finance, we were looking at the numbers and delivering what has transpired, the actual. We were looking at finance data. We were collectors of data. We were very reactive. And not everybody, not all the time, but it just took so long to close the books and to manage that process. Where now we're moving into, or have moved into, I should say, where we help drive results. I mean, the companies I've worked for and that I've seen in my consulting days, the CFO plays a very prominent role in the executive community there. And not only, looking at actuals and how they transpire, but predicting the future and helping with that regard as well. So they're more forward-looking. They're definitely a strategic leader and so forth. So there's more proactive versus the reactive side of it, right? So, and that's what technology can help you do too, is deliver those results faster so you can spend more time analyzing the data and so forth. I'm sure we could all relate to this. There's obstacles in the way though, right? So as companies grow or as you take on a new role at a company, the first thing you discover is it's not as seamless as you would like it to be. There's obstacles. There's a lot of email going around. There's Excel files that need to be manipulated or even brought down from different systems and then manipulated in Excel. It's not very compliant. It's not very trustworthy for the organization to go through that type of path. And I have many stories or seen many companies that get bogged down in this. So it takes days to close the books where it should be a lot quicker process. And the larger organizations, the more this is going to happen, of course. And it can't be eliminated. It just there's too many things going on in the day-to-day business. But as you can apply technology and quickly deploy that technology, the quicker you can get away from these obstacles. So there has to be a better way. Excel is a very strong tool. Obviously finance loves it, and we've used it for years. And so it's easy for anyone to do number crunching in Excel. And it once was reserved for accountants and statisticians, but now everybody's using it for business and key decision making, which is great, except for it's error prone. And the bigger your models are, the more you're doing with it, the more errors that can happen. And here's a couple studies of things that have happened with Excel that have been publicized. Most of the errors haven't been. And I know personally I've used Excel and had some formula errors in there, and it's caused some material errors in some reporting over the course of my career. I'm not ashamed to admit that, but it's also a little bit embarrassing. But the point is that it is a powerful, useful tool in the right place, but it's not for everything. And it's not tied to a database. It's hard to distribute data. It's hard for multiple people to work on a model. There's things like that as well. So today we'll show you different ways to approach that, more systematic ways to approach that. Now, this slide just goes to talk about it's not all related to technology, but that is a big part of it, right? You have the people, you have the processes, and the policies. And those policies really, a lot of them are dictated by, Sarbanes-Oxley and compliance and the things that the auditors look for, the things that the public looks for of your public company, and so forth. So there needs to be more scrutiny around those policies and procedures. And technology is a big component of that. So, we're all aware of how the people, processes, and policies affect change in the company. And if you want to affect change in your organization, you need to dissect and build each of these areas to support your goals. Today, we're going to focus in on how technology can create change and discuss what those opportunities are. So, I've worked for, different size companies, but most of the time I spent 80% of my time collecting data and crunching the data to get the right numbers. And I can't tell you how many countless hours I spent just reconciling numbers and verifying numbers between spreadsheets or between reports. And then that leaves very few, minutes or time for actual data analysis, which, like I said, is key now in organizations. So hopefully what you'll see today is ability to get quicker numbers, be able to analyze those numbers more, and not have to do all that ticking and tying and all that number crunching that is typical with other systems. Now, we kind of can laugh looking at this picture. I mean, this is from 1987, the movie Wall Street, but look at that phone. Those were that was the first cell phone. That's what it looked like. That's what people used. I never had one of those because they cost $4,000 at the time that they first came out, Motorola phone. But think how much technology has changed in 30 years. Cell phones are a prime example. My iPhone's here. I have it set for a timer so I can see exactly where I'm at time-wise with the demonstration this afternoon. But it's like a mini computer in my pocket. Not only can I make phone calls anywhere I want, but I can perform so many tasks with my iPhone. And the same thing with technology in terms of closing the books. The on-premise vendors used to rule the world and provide software that is very complex and really produced and solved complex business problems. But nowadays you have cloud-based vendors such as Host Analytics that are disrupting that old model of large on-premise installs, and we're able to get up and running quickly with cloud technology and accomplish the same task easier and faster because of the deployment methodology. And obviously, the other aspect of a cloud-based vendor is quicker releases. So you're always on the up-to-date version, and you're able to leverage that technology or that process or that new feature much more quickly and efficiently within your organization. So this picture helps depict what the cloud is about. What is the cloud? It is simple. All the hardware, the software, etc., are in the cloud. You just plug into it. So everything there is taken care for you. So your IT department, whether they're actively involved in finance or not, can now focus on the core operations of your business, and you don't have to rely on them to help maintain your systems. That's all taken care of by the vendor. So as compared to an on-prem vendor where many of these things are part of the cost, servers, and may include people to manage them, and so forth, now you have that all taken care of by the vendor. So, if we can start by just demystifying the cloud and cloud computing, which are frequently used in conjunction with SaaS, which is software as a service. In the simplest term, the cloud refers to the internet, and cloud computing describes the transition from everyone buys, installs, and maintains their own software and hardware to everyone can access applications on demand through the internet. So the cloud provides that mechanism to do that. But the cloud is a modern way to deliver software as a service. So, because we can take care of, as I said, upgrades, availability, backup, network, storage, operating system, database, integration, provisioning, all kinds of the things that IT typically takes care of. Those are instantly available to you as soon as you're, have a cloud vendor in place. All those things are taken care of you. So an example, Schumacher Group, they're a customer of Host Analytics. They were up and running and pulling reports out of a system within 2 weeks. And the CIO there said, we can even provision a server that quick. So not everybody's up and running and pulling data out that quickly, but that's a great example of being able to deploy a cloud and be able to leverage a vendor such as Host Analytics in a very short order. Being able to perform actual reporting out of a system in 2 weeks is just unheard of on an on-premise type of solution. So, there's been a large transition in the marketplace, and I'm sure you've heard of these companies. Salesforce.com, SuccessFactors, Workday, NetSuite, and ADP, they're all vendors that have operated in the cloud for some time now. Maybe not all for some time. Workday is relatively new, and so forth. But all of these companies have transitioned or disrupted the marketplace for their key areas. It used to be Siebel. Now Salesforce.com is a leader in CRM. PeopleSoft, SuccessFactors, and Workday both have really come into that place where they can manage HR and help you cut the checks and manage your people with their systems. ADP's been around a long time. Some people don't think of them as a cloud-based vendor, but that's exactly what they are. You submit everything via the web browser or via a mechanism to them. They process your payroll and cut the checks. No servers are deployed on your environment and so forth. Very popular software, obviously. And then NetSuite in the GL space, the ERP space has taken over, where you have Oracle or SAP on-prem. Now you have NetSuite where people are deploying that over the cloud and so forth. So a lot of disruption happening in all aspects of the companies or the different software delivery. So here, I just want to talk quickly about the 3 benefits of cloud computing. The things that we've seen in the marketplace from our customers is, agility and speed. And, we have a great example of that with one of our customers called Jazz Pharmaceutical. They first brought the planning cloud in early 2011 from Host Analytics. But later that year, the executive team decided to pursue an inorganic growth strategy, so they were doing more merger and acquisitions. Luckily, they chose a vendor such as Host Analytics that can support their new strategy. And by that, I mean now they needed a close management strategy, ability to close the books with multiple GLs, multiple companies. And so they rolled out our close management cloud, which allowed them to consolidate the results from their newly acquired companies. And then when they wanted to improve their revenue planning process, they simply switched on our advanced revenue planning application. And that allowed them, now they had a product, they had some go-to-market strategy for products, but they needed to plan their revenue. How much could they sell that product? What markets could they penetrate? What were their channels? and that's when they deployed the advanced revenue planning application. So Jazz Pharmaceutical really embraced the agility and speed aspects of what we offered by starting in one place that met their requirements, but as their business changed, some of it not known at the time that they purchased Hosting Analytics, but over time they changed their strategy. They were able to leverage the same application for those other business needs. Now, cloud and security go hand in hand, and we use state-of-the-art security methods to make sure your data is secure. So what that means, our customers sleep soundly knowing that our state-of-the-art security keeps their data safe. Most people realize that emailing spreadsheets with sensitive financial information is risky. Other people realize that their legacy software wasn't designed with the latest security technology and practices in mind. And so for some companies, they may not have the IT staff or resources to keep up the latest in security measures. Where with us, security is the lifeblood of a cloud vendor's business. We have to invest in considerable resources to maintain that state-of-the-art security. Otherwise, we don't have a business. So rest assured, security and our business model is fully supportive of tight security and your data safe. And lastly, and this is what you hear most about the cloud, the lower overall cost. And just like a picture of an iceberg, what you see with an on-prem is the costs that you see aren't always everything that you have to think about. There's a lot more to it. The servers, the people that run those servers, the process for upgrading software, and so forth all exist with both vendors, but with a cloud-based vendor, we take care of that for you. We personally at Hosting Analytics, we have quarterly releases that are very seamless to you, but what that does is give you the latest and greatest technology each and every quarter, so you can leverage those features where it makes sense for you and your business and your processes. I believe this is my last slide before we get into the demonstration. And this really helps depict what's going on in the system. Now, it looks like a lot here, and there is a lot going on, right? It's a powerful system for you to leverage technology and to support your business requirements. But in the cloud there, the part that's the cloud there is the technology that you don't have to worry about, but gives you the best breed technology to overcome any requirements that your business has. So in the middle there's a SQL cube with some details coming in from the bottom. At the bottom are your legacy systems, your GL, ERP, your HR payroll systems, your operational systems, your sales systems, and so forth. That data is important for several reasons to be part of the cloud of Host Analytics, if you will. You might do planning in Host Analytics. You definitely could close and disclose, so you need your data from your GL, your operational data perhaps as well, from different legacy systems or different operational systems that help you close those books, perhaps different GLs throughout the world or the company that you work for, and so forth can be brought into the cloud. And then we can perform different consolidation processes against that data, obviously run reports, give you the ability to do modeling and budgeting as well, which we're not going to cover as much. So what you see here now is that cloud is all taken care of for you with us. The data integration is seamless for you to get data in there, and then it allows you to leverage technology to quickly close the books and so forth. So I think the picture depicts what we do, but when I show you the software, you'll really get it, and that's where we're heading next. So this is my last slide. This talks about the close and disclose process and what I'll demonstrate today. But we'll talk about consolidation, the status, the compliance that goes in with that, the load data capabilities, eliminations, consolidation process in its entirety, and we'll cover some time reporting. To me, it's key. Right? Every time you do anything in any system, there's reports that need to be produced, especially in the financial world. And I want to talk about that and how we can help automate that and really apply best-in-breed reporting capabilities, but make it easy to use so you can get out of the world of finance those all reports and do more self-service reporting and so forth. So there's a lot there. We're not going to deep dive on this. I want to highlight the value of software for you and not make this more than that. So at this time, what we'll do is jump into the technology demo and really work through what Host Analytics can offer you. So what I'll do now is show my screen, and we'll get right into it. So hopefully you can see my screen. Right now I'm logged in as an administrator into the system. With that, that means I'm able to see everything. So I'm logged in as myself. I have access to everything in the application. You can tailor everything you see by user or by role so they only see certain aspects of the system. I like this screen. It's my scorecard. It measures the business for me. I actually have two different views. This one's more metric around finances compared to budget and so forth. And I have a second dashboard here I can click on as well. So if I click on this dashboard, it will bring up different metrics. And this one's more around the close and disclose processes. So I can look at my net cash activity for actuals compared to a budget, but my actuals is what I'm working on to close the books. I got my elimination variance from my intercompanies. And more importantly, down here in the far right, I have some metrics, just metrics, nothing around finances, but how I'm closing the books and how quickly I can do it and where I want to do it versus what I've done it in my actual. So you can see as I deploy technology, it's gotten better and better over time. And now I'm at an 8-day close cycle here. It's just a measurement that I put in place, and I put a graph around that data so I can see it on an ongoing basis. And I can do that in different ways. You know, I have a line chart there. There's different charts you can apply there. But the point is you can start to visualize your data and be able to slice and dice it as you need to. And these aren't just pretty pictures. I can drill in and get to specifics if I want. I'm not going to do that now, but these are hyperlinks into the data sets, and they can link to reports that give me more detail as I go through this process. So just keep in mind these aren't just pretty pictures. They're more interactive than that, and they give end users the ability to see their key metrics. What matters to that user could be different than a different user. So these all metrics could be different by role or by user, and they measure you know, whatever aspects you want of your business, whether it's financial, KPIs, FTEs, any type of data that you want. So keep in mind that's the breadth of the product. It's not just one module or this module. It's an entire product. And you can see that up here in the menu options. So just real quick, budget control panel. This is where I can enter data against any scenario or version that's not actuals. It leverages actuals for trending purposes, but it's really where I do my planning. We're not going there today. Consolidations, we'll spend a considerable amount of time here just looking at what we can do and how we automate that process to really give you quicker results. Everything, as I said in the presentation part, leads to reports. This is really the key to me. The key to any financial person, I would imagine, is getting the data out and analyzing that data, quick slice and dice of variance analysis and so forth. That's what we can do there and so forth. So just think about that. That's where we'll cover these three areas probably primarily today. I need to cover this because I think it's important to understand. When you use software as a service such as Host Analytics, it really becomes a community. So we have things underneath here that allow you to get help within the system. You could trigger our support organization, our world-class support organization, which is based in Ponca City, Oklahoma, the center of the country. They're there to answer not just technical questions, but functional questions, because it's software as a service. That's part of the service component of it, is the ability of us to help you manage that from both, you know, how do I do this? I forgot how I do this. Those type of questions. But where that comes into play also is the community. And the community is every user of Host Analytics has access to the community, and it truly is a community where you go out there and post questions or see what other people have posted, read answers or best practices, and it could be about anything. It doesn't have to be functionality within Host Analytics. It could be about how you manage people and the application or how you created a dashboard. Anything like that can be brought forward via the community. So, you know, we have active participation out there. Employees are allowed to go out there as well, but most of it is just users out there sharing ideas and practices. Okay, enough about that. Let's talk about the close and disclose process and what that means. So as we look at this, I think the best place for me to start is under maintenance and go to segment hierarchies. This is the backbone of the system, and this really is where the framework of the system and how data would get into the system and what it means to you. So what you can see over here is my financial hierarchies. These are really brought forth from your systems. This is an example of what you might see, a company hierarchy. Maybe you have cost centers or departments, and everybody has accounts, of course, but you might have products, vendors, customers, or a different dimensionality here as well. But quickly, I just want to walk through what this means and what we do here that might be different from other vendors. This company hierarchy really defines my legal entity structure, and more importantly, where I might have eliminations or trading partners interacting. So I just opened this up. In this case, I broke it down by region, North America. Under that, I have some corporational, some headquarter offices, and then I have U.S., Canada. And those two trading partners might have some interaction. So I have my North America eliminations account. You can see it's in blue. That indicates there's elimination. It's set up as an elimination company, so I can do my reporting from there and roll up consistently data. These all roll up. You can see the plus signs mean these roll up to North America plus Europe and Asia roll up to my operations, and then so forth. So there's roll-up operators here that help me get to that aggregation of data and so forth. The thing I like to point out, if I click on the U.S. here, is over here on the far right panel is ability to apply a currency code to that. So at this stage, I'm applying what currency these legal entities operate in. So U.S., Canadian, and so forth are different currencies that I have set up and that I operate in. You may only have USD, you may have just Canadian, you may have a combination, and we support that. We also support interim currency and functional currency. So we have some broad-based companies, Advanced Energy up in, they're based in Fort Collins, Colorado. They're all over the world. Stamina, they're all over the world. So they have several different currencies, several different operations, several different GLs that they need to consolidate, and we help them do that. So, but some companies are just U.S.-based, but they have multiple general ledgers or trading partners that they have to incorporate into their process. But the point is there's some logic and some accounting capabilities built into the system here. Just a second. Okay, just checking something. And then on the other side of that is my account dimension. So I'm going to hit OK there. I don't want to save any changes there. And what I'm looking at here is my account hierarchy and how it rolls up. There's a couple things I want to point out here. Remember, this is the framework of the system. This may come from your GL or other systems. Most likely your ERP would feed both the legal entities that we looked at and the account structure. But as I look at this, I quickly searched and went down to my gross sales. And this is an account level. And I just want to talk about a couple things here. Is one, the roll-up operator applies here as well. So I have these rolling up. So when I look at my income statement, everything's rolled up for me automatically. The system does that systematically for me. But I also have the ability to apply accounting logic to my account structure, balance sheet versus income statement. You can see here I can define credit versus debit accounts. I can say, is it an account time, does it flow to retained earnings, or does it carry a balance? That helps in my reporting, and that helps in me as I close the books in my financial ledger, which I'll show you in a moment. It helps bring logic to that. And I was looking at year-to-date, month-to-date values, as you can see here. Here's my currency type. Do I have to worry about hyperinflationary situations? Do I want to leverage an average? Do I want to leverage an end-of-balance, end-of-period currency rate for certain balances and so forth? That's where I apply that. Apply this to my account structure. So at one stage, we have our company structure where I'm applying the currency, and then at the account level, I can apply what currency rate or type I want to apply to that, and so forth. So you can see there's some capabilities around that. And lastly, my user-defined attributes. And I know I'm spending a little time here to give you a framework of what the system looks like, but here's where we can do some mapping of accounts from, maybe my French account number maps to my common chart of accounts via this mechanism or this combination. It could be a totally different GL, but it's mapped into my gross sales here. So you have the ability to define these attributes in this mapping exercise within the system as well to get data in there via mechanisms for transitioning data from one type of chart of accounts into a common chart of accounts. Okay, enough about that. Let's click here now on reports. I want to start with reports because it frameworks again. I know I just said that about 10th of segments, but this report to me sets the stage. And I've seen this report in many organizations that I work for, so it's a very common type of report. Quickly, as I clicked on the report icon, it brings up the file cabinet, and I can group my reports by folders. And I have access to everything, so I see all the folders. Again, security could apply to that, and you can see less. But I also have what I've marked as my favorites, and this is just for me Brad Mauvais, what I've marked as my favorites. Your favorites could be different. But I have this consolidation review report. I click on that, it brings up the report. And this report is a very common structure for what we can do. I have my GL data and my common currency. So this is my raw data for my GLs. And then I go through a process to start manipulating that data. I have my eliminations, which we'll talk about and how we can manipulate that. And in fact, I have some data there already changing that. I have some dynamic journal entries. I'll talk about that. And I can make some adjustments. But each one of those is housed in a separate bucket, so I can specify those throughout the process. And then I get to my consolidated common currency bucket, my data that my close and disclose, my data that I'm ready to report to the streets. So right now we can see there's nothing in my adjustments column. We'll come back to this report after we do the consolidation process, and we'll see some data entered here via a posting of a journal entry. But hopefully you can relate to this report starting from scratch or from my raw data from my GLs and building up some accounting to get to my consolidated numbers based on my income, my assets, liability, equity. And these these obviously I can drill in and get more specifics as I want to. We'll cover more in reporting in a moment. You'll see how easy it is to manipulate this report and to drill through and get to more detail as you need to. But I think it's a good framework, a good place to start before I dig into the process. So now what I'll do is click on consolidations and really walk through what this means, what technology can deliver for you, and how quickly we can do this. But consolidation brings up the consolidation control panel. It's pretty straightforward. I can pick my scenario. Most likely you'll be working on actuals for a particular period, but you can do it for different scenarios as well. If there's a budget process you need to run through the consolidation process, you can do that as well. We're going to focus on actuals. We're going to focus on the current period, August 13. You can see here they can be locked. They can be, there's compliance around this, right? You can control when it's open, when it's locked, what manipulations could happen to it, and so forth. The last piece here is what company do I want to work out. If I again click on this magnifying glass, it brings up the company structure. And when I do that, I can see the entire structure here. What this does is it allows me to perform consolidations at different levels at different times. Perhaps you are a multinational company and you need Europe to close the books before you can push it into America and close all the books for the entire company. You can decentralize the process and let people access their aspect of the world, let them perform their pieces before and have workflow submit that to you before you close the books for the entire company. That's what we call a decentralized process and so forth. So that is fully capable within Host Analytics. I'm going to focus just at the top level here and stay there. So I'll hit OK. And then the processes here outline what we can do to the data. And it's outlined pretty simply. I mean, I have my standard journal entries. They're very common, as you can imagine. If I double-click on this one here, I'll just show you quickly what's happening. You have your header information here. You can adjust this. You can see we have this buckets for reporting, as I mentioned before, local currency, common currency. All my standard journal entries go into my adjustments column from that report we just looked at. That's where these would be pushed to. In this case, I'm making an adjustment from my accounts receivable account to my gross sales, a debit credit of 50 grand here. Pretty straightforward. I have my period here. I can make this auto reverse if I want. Nothing rocket science here, but there is some compliance around this that I want to talk about, and that's the ability to really outline when these get posted, who can approve them, and how they, how the system maintains and tracks these. So this one's already been in an approved state here, so it's been through that process, and that could be different users. And now all I'm going to do is post it. So I click on post. It now posted that journal entry. It hasn't processed it. It posted it, so it's ready to be processed. To do that processing, I'll show you that in a moment. So again, you can manage this journal entry by journal entry and go through the process of posting them as you see fit. Now we have other types of journal entries. I'm not going to go into all of these, but reoccurring journal entries just reoccur each period. I do like to talk about dynamic journal entries quickly. This is the ability to put some logic or math to a journal entry rather than having to type in the 50 grand as we saw in the standard journal entry. This can provide a journal entry where you can calculate a royalty, for example. To do that, you have the header information as we saw before, But if I go to my journal entry, instead of an amount here, it's actually calculated using a simple calculation engine. I find this very powerful. I've had some companies say, wow, I've never been able to do that before, but this makes my job a lot easier. Instead of calculating it in Excel and then pushing the amount in there, you can leverage this to say, okay, I want to see all my gross sales for my U.S. company here for this product. I want to take that amount times 10% and make a journal entry for that factor here. So it's really drag and drop. Okay, I need this company for this account for this product times 10%, and it's going to do that math for you. So whatever the balance is in this account for this company, for this product, it could be 1,000 one month, 100,000 the next month. It's going to do the math for you and apply that for you with an automatic journal entry. So you can see here, this one has four different entries that it's going to make based on the logic that I've applied to it in the calculation or the rule that you set here. It really creates a much easier way to do royalties and any type of calculation you want to do against your data for a top-side journal entry. We also manage partial ownership rules for joint ventures and so forth when you have partial ownership. But really what I want to do is dig into eliminations real quick here. For me, this is a process that is easily automated. I've seen it done, and we support that as well. So let's look at, like, for example, intercompany due to, due from. What I'll do here is click on this and hit Edit, just to show you the inner workings of this. On the first tab here, the properties is you just define a name for it, where you would put your out-of-balance situations and so forth. But the real key to it is the second tab. This is where you define that relationship in your accounts. So here I have my accounts receivable and my accounts payable, and that's my due to, due from, and I've labeled those due from and due to with a drop-down box here. Now over here on the far right is where I can select that relationship. Basically what I have a list is all my accounts here. I can filter on those really quickly, and I just select the ones I want to make a relationship for, and it could be more than 2 accounts. It could be, different relationships that you want to perform, and I just click it and it becomes over here, and then I label due to and due from. So in this case, it's already been set up, but it's really easy to define this setup, and you could have as many of these as you want. Now at the bottom here, we have a variance threshold. This, to me, blows some customers away because they just don't have this capability. But I want to show you this in its entirety. But on the surface here, all I do is set my thresholds. Okay, anything less than 1,000, I'm okay with. So if I have a slight variance, whatever that slight means to you, you define it. It's going to be green. I'm going to be okay with it. Anything between 1,000 and 5,000, okay, I want more of an alert. It's yellow, and then red. And now this all applies to a report that I can run and see these variances. But this gives me that level set where I have thresholds that I care about and don't care about. It might be everything above a 0 you care about, and that's fine as well. So that's where I define it. But where I can really apply this is my elimination or my variance report. So let me show you what's happening. I'll click on my variance report. We'll stay with August 13, and we'll look at just that one we were looking at, intercompany due to, due from. And if I click here, I'll just run it for all accounts. So this is a report. Now, I've already run some eliminations, so there's data here. There's data in my variance report that I can look at. And here it is. This is the relationship between these company codes and these company codes. And I have some variances. A lot of them are yellow. Some of them are bright red. So between 2330 and 2340, I have a bright red situation, $20,000 difference. This report, for some of our large companies, it runs in the pages. It's just they have so many trading partners and intercompany relationships. And yeah, on the surface here, this isn't a lot of data. Maybe I can run a report, manually and see this data. But this is automatically run for me. And as quickly as I set it up, I can see these variances and differences. In Sanmina, for example, just love this report because before they had to jump through hoops to get to this data in their old system. With us, it's pre-built, it's already there, and they can quickly see the variances that matter most to them. And with them, again, they were a large organization with many, many legal entities throughout the U.S. that this was a burdensome process for them. So it took them, days to get to this report and get to the data that made up this report, and now they can run this in less than a few minutes. But the process takes them an hour or so to finish their process. But with that, all I have to do is click on this, and it gives me the details. So if I see a variance, I click on it, and it gives me the details of what's happening. So here we can see company 2340 booked an entry for 15 grand. where if I make this a little bit bigger or scroll over, you can see the other company booked the entry for $35,000, creating that $20,000 entry. So now I have the journal entry details here, automatically produced through my elimination process, but I can see the details, and I can either contact the controllers at these different companies, find out what's going on, or make a topside entry to fix it if I know what the deal is. But the point is you can quickly get from a variance report to that variance information via a single click. So hopefully that shows you the automation we can apply on the elimination side and that relationship that you can set up so you can quickly perform those eliminations. Now, we have about 20 minutes left. I want to cover the consolidation process. I'll talk quickly about validations. I think it's key when you're closing the books to have built-in validations. You know, are things tying out the way I want? We have some built-in validations, and we allow you to create your own validations. So this is a feature that wasn't in the system a year ago. It is now in the system. That's about the value of the cloud. We can deliver these features over time, and everybody gets them as soon as they are available. So validations, we have our natural account balance validations, so things are balancing from a perspective on the balance sheet and you know, your natural account balances. And then we have other ones that you can create. You can see this one is a type report. It's preset. This one's a formula. So I've created this, and it's a validation that makes sense for my business. I want to make sure my net income is X before I publish my data. So these validations are for you to define via drag and drop. I want this equal to this, or I want this number greater than this number. If it's not, then alert me. My consolidation process isn't working the way I want to. You can run the validation status report anytime you like. It also runs every time you run the consolidation process, which I'm about to do now. So all these things feed into the process. When I'm ready to process it, I run process. And it brings up a dialog box. I can run this for multiple periods, but typically you'll run it for a single period at a time. And I'll just hit process. I won't hit any of these other buttons. But as it processes it, what it's going to do, it's going to run the consolidation process, the formal consolidation mechanisms that we put in place. So it pops up. It's going to run this. When it's done, it will let me know via another pop-up and a notification within the system. What's it doing? It's running all my posted journal entries from these. It's running my partial ownership rules. It's doing any reclassifications I set up. It's definitely running my eliminations. It's also processing my validations. So all that is taking place when I run my process. Now, another customer example is Groupon. You know, Groupon is, most people have probably heard of them, a coupon website that allows you to save money on different vendors' services and products. They grew tremendously through acquisition. Once they figured out their business model, they wanted to be a global company. So they bought companies in every country imaginable, if you can think about that, as they grew. So then they had multiple GLs, multiple trading partners, multiple eliminations they had to perform. So they were able to leverage our technology, deploy it rather quickly, and now rather than taking a day or longer to close the books, they can do it in an hour or less with Host Analytics with multiple entities. And so here I just ran the process in this case, and it finished running. I can go see a link to see the detailed view, but I don't need to because it's just a process that ran. Where I really come into play is I can run my consolidation status report, see what's transpired here, hit go, and it's going to run this report. And it's going to show me at each intersection of data, or as my companies roll up, what's happened. The consolidation process ran. It tells me if I loaded the data, which some of them I didn't, so I'm going to get additional errors based on that, whether the period's locked and whether the validation has run, and if it failed, what failed on it, you know, what transpired there in my validation. You can see I have 4 views of this. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail here because my data is not all there and not completely closed, so I have some errors there, but the point is it points those out and lets you transition into each one of those as you go through that process. It did process my consolidation, so that's going to bring me into reports and allow me to show you what's happened here. So again, now I ran my process, and what I really want to do is just bring up that original report I did, my consolidation review report, and show you what it did in this example. So it transitioned, it processed my eliminations, and remember this column was blank before, if you recall. Now that $50,000 standard journal entry that I posted has been pushed into the adjustment column, so it now has made my consolidated common currency values different than they were before. But this is part of the consolidation process. It's the ability to take your numbers, bucketize your changes so you can report on them as you go through the process, eliminations, journal entries, adjustments, and get to your consolidated cash flow numbers. Now, if I wanted to see this by a different format, I can. This is now going to transition into more of the reporting aspect and what we can deliver. And I think if you don't see this from other vendors, then you're missing the boat, because I think reporting is the key to everything. For us, it's as simple as this. I can peel back the corner and show you how this report is put together. It's simple. I define what I want in my columns by pushing data here in my columns. What do I want in my rows? What I want going down in my columns is there. The intersection of these two accounts to reporting structure gives me my data. And then anything I want to filter by, I push up here. So I'm filtering by my companies. I'm showing actual data for August 2013. If I want to look at my company codes in my rows, I can simply drag that down here, push it in front of my columns. Maybe I want to click on that to see what my company hierarchy looks like. I can pick and choose what I want to see. In this case, I'm seeing my highest level company codes. Maybe that's fine. I hit OK. I run this report. So drag and drop. What do I want to see where? Well, now I got my companies and my accounts going down my rows. I can drill in on these as I want to and see more information. So now I can see it by company, by accounts. I can drill into my accounts as well and start to really drill into my elimination accounts. You can see here I was focused here on my operations when I booked that journal entry and the accounts that it rolls up to, and so forth. You know, we have the ability to suppress empty columns and rows. We have the ability to do drill through to transactions or translations. If you have multiple chart of accounts, you might want to see how that data was translated, and so forth. So lots of capabilities in the reporting world. If I can, I'll just show you a couple other ones. I'll keep that report open, and we'll look at, you know, some more formal reports: income statement, VBA, budget to actuals, for an example. More formal report, you know, with my company logo, perhaps. The ability to change this quickly from period to period, or I could have that automatically feed from a variable that's set at the company level. So maybe I have my active period set to August, or now we're in September. All the reports would automatically run for September. So you can change that in one place, and all the reports reflect that and point to that pointer that you put in the system. But here you can see the formatting applies. I can have formatting from Excel formatting. I can have formulas. I can have bolds, and so forth. And we also have this concept called report sets. That means I have consistency between my reports. Miriam Technologies, another customer of ours, love this feature. So here I'm looking at an income statement. It's a variance month-to-date to year-to-date activity. Well, if I run a different report, let's say this P&L variance report with different data on it, there's consistency between these reports. And by that I mean, in this example, I have the same structure down here, my same income statement structure. So whatever accounts roll into gross revenue are the same between these two reports. But I have current month actuals of prior month with the budget data, different variance columns, year-to-date, same thing. It's a different report with consistency, though. So if I go to a meeting and I present this report, nobody's going to say, well, where did you come up with that number for cost of revenue? What accounts roll up to that? Well, it's the same as your report because I use a report set, consistency between these reports. So I take that argument off the table, and we can really concentrate why this number is 17% of revenue versus, you know, why last month it was 20% or whatever that might be. So you can really do a different analysis when you look at the reports and take those arguments around how that report was created. Because Excel, people have too many liberties. Here you can bring consistency to the table. The last type of report I want to show you quickly, and then I want to open it up for questions, and I find that most valuable. But real quickly, you know, we have the ability to present or produce reports that are more formal in nature. 10Ks, 10Qs, which are typically Word documents that get turned into, Edgarized and PDF. But you could also do PowerPoint decks. So I'll quickly just generate this report and show you. This is coming from Host Analytics. It's an automatic way to produce PowerPoints or Word documents, and it gives you the ability to combine data, text, charts, whatever it might be. So here I have some text that I'm incorporating, some narrative with an income statement report, with here's a graph, and I even have some Excel data that I'm bringing into this report. I don't know if you can see that Excel icon there, but when this report's produced, you'll see it. Here it is. It just got finished producing, so I'll open it up. It opened up on my other screen here, but I'll hit F5. Whoops, no, I won't. I'll bring this over here, and I'll go slideshow, primary monitor, hit F5, and just show you this is a report it produced automatically from Host Analytics. There's narrative, there's an agenda slide, that could be a table of contents in a Word document. Here's the narrative pieces where I'm talking about my business. Here's a report right from the Host Analytics file cabinet that I just showed you. Here's a graph called net cash activity right from my dashboard, measuring data right from here's more words. And this last deck right here, this last slide, is actually an Excel document. So it's data that somebody gave me in Excel, and I incorporated it in my document via the Excel mechanism, or the Host Analytics mechanism, right into my PowerPoint deck. So this is PowerPoint right from my desktop that this produced from Host Analytics. So I said a lot, and I've shown you a lot, but right now I want to turn it over to Ernie for Q&A. I think 9 minutes will be good. Hopefully we can get your questions in. But thanks a lot for watching the tech demo, and hopefully now we can answer your questions.
Okay, great. Thank you very much for that great content. We'll go ahead and get to the Q&A. First question here for you. Someone says their financial close requires non-accounting information to be collected. Can you use systems like this to do that as well?
Yeah, great question. And absolutely. We have a few ways to get data into the system, but that data can be automatically fed from your GL system or systems, and then it can also be manually uploaded if necessary, which means you just bring a file and say, I need to load this file, and bring that data forth. But either way, or both ways, allow you to bring in not just the financial trial balance data, but you can bring in transactional details when you need to. You can bring in financial metrics. You can bring in operational data. You can bring in FTE or HR data as well. So all or any of that information is brought in via mechanisms that allow you to report on that data or use that data in your close and disclose processes. Or, very common is allocations. Sometimes you have to perform allocations and you need some key metrics to do that. FTEs, number of computers, number of square footage, anything like that could be a metric that you need for reporting or allocation purposes. So absolutely.
Okay, great, thanks. For our next question, can your consolidation product handle multiple currencies?
Yes, absolutely. So good question. Hopefully, if you recall, I was in the company structure, and I showed how you can apply different currencies to a legal entity. And then at the account level, you can apply different currency types, average, end of period, beginning of period, hyperinflationary. So that intersection will allow you to then, obviously we have a place where you can store your currency rates, and then the system will perform that for you. But you can definitely, it supports multiple currencies and any number of currencies.
Okay, great. Can you speak to how intensive the implementation process usually is, how long that would normally take, and especially compared to an on-prem solution?
Yeah, good question. So we typically see a reduction in implementation time of not weeks but months. So with our cloud-based technology, the way we can deliver and set up an environment so quickly and manage that from a holistic point of view, meaning we manage it, and we manage it every single day so we know what we're doing, and we have it preset and configured, the implementation time is much quicker. So, everybody's different, and a lot of times it depends on the organization, their data, and the people that are involved in the process. But, we've done them as quick as a few weeks to a typical of 6 to 8 weeks versus an on-prem. And, as you pointed out from my bio, I worked at Accenture and IBM, and I know projects can take, 9 months, 2 years, or longer in some cases. Not all cases, of course, but it's much quicker than on-prem, mostly because of the cloud-based technology and the ability to deliver quicker because of the ability to have everything set up quickly and already in-house in the data center.
Great. Can you speak a little bit to how the system, the consolidation product handles multiple currencies, and then a little bit about how the FX rates are set and if you can import those from an outside source? Yes.
It's really based on a relationship, company, account, and rate. Now, with our system, the rates can be imported automatically from Excite. So you can get those rates in from the web, automatically upload it into the system using our tool to do that. So you can have that automatically managed within the system. You could also import your own or control that yourself, or a combination thereof, right? Maybe you have certain entities or certain rates that you bring in, but you need to manage some hyperinflationary rates on your own for purposes of those type of countries. But we let you manage that very easily in terms of having rates per scenario, per time period, managed by you, either automatically or manually entered. And again, it comes down to that combination of account, company, and currency types. You can have multiple types that allow you to really manage this from a holistic, company-wide, many currencies, many currency types.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Can you speak to a little bit about, it seems as if you were obviously making journal entries. Are those journal entries pushed back to the ERP system, the GL somehow?
Okay, good question. Actually, they can be. Typically, they are not. Most people, once they understand what Host Analytics offers, they make us a system of record, especially if you have multiple GLs and you're translating those into a common chart of accounts. Then we become that system of record for closing the books, processing all the reporting, and the end user reporting out of that from both an analytical and a financial point of view. But we do have the ability to push data to other systems. So whether it's a journal entry format or pushing data directly into other systems, the data is your data, so it can go anywhere you want it to. But keep in mind, with our robust reporting capabilities, most customers end up making us a system of record for that process.
Okay, great. And can you just expand a little bit on how the reporting capabilities in the cloud are much more vast than maybe an on-premise environment, what the differences are there that you're seeing that are offering great value?
Yeah. Well, a few things to talk about there is one is the ability to bring in data from all different systems into the cloud, into Host Analytics. And then, I've said this before, but I think it's important to repeat, is getting the data out, right, the reporting. So I didn't spend as much time as I would have liked in reporting, but the drag and drop capabilities, the ability to create reports quickly on the fly in the formatting that you desire, is what is so great about Host Analytics reporting. It leverages Excel formatting, Excel formulas, but it's not Excel, right? It's true drag and drop going against the database, allowing you to slice and dice that data. But obviously, there's a lot of formalized reporting you have to do. You don't want people having the ability to slice and dice data when it's a formal income statement that you might publish to stakeholders, to the public in a 10K or 10Q. So we also have mechanisms that allow you to lock down reports and just simply click on it to run it. When I run a report and you run a report, if we have ownership of different parts of the business, when I run the report, it's going to run for the parts that I have access to. When you run that same report, it's going to run for, if you're responsible for Europe, it's going to run the European part of the business, but the framework of that report would be the same if you want it to be. So you maintain it in one place but distribute it to many people. So the advantages are the cloud, the web. Everybody can run a report that has access to it right from the web browser. The ability to slice and dice that quickly with our dynamic reports, and then the formalization of those reports either via financial statements or what we call that financial package publisher, which I showed at the end there, which is PowerPoint or Word documents that allow you to automate 10Ks and 10Q processing all the way to board books and slide decks that you might do on a monthly basis.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, Brad. In order to be mindful of our time, I'm going to go ahead and close the Q&A session. Any questions that we didn't get to, we'll follow up afterwards. Just as a reminder, you'll be asked to take a short survey once the webinar concludes. We appreciate your feedback on the event. We invite you to join us at www.performative.com to ask any additional questions and continue the conversation. A big thank you to Brad for his time and insight. He's clearly a thought leader in his field and an excellent source of information on today's topic. Note that in the post-webinar survey, you have the opportunity to express your interest in being connected with him and or Host Analytics with just one or a few clicks of your mouse. Big thanks again to today's sponsor, Host Analytics. And finally, thank you very much to the audience for your valuable time. We hope to see you again at another Performative event or online at www.performative.com. Thank you very much, everyone, and make the rest of your day great.